Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and a very warm welcome if you're new here. The day has finally come for me to make my mini-me doll. Oh, it's so exciting! But before we jump in, I wanted to start this video by saying a huge thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel and followed me on Instagram so far. It means so much to me that there are actually people out there who enjoyed my first video. All your likes and comments warm my heart. You guys are awesome. This video is a bit of a wild ride, but I have a really exciting announcement to make at the end of the video, so I hope you'll stick around until then. Okay, without further ado, let's get into the video. Like I said, today I'll be customizing Mini Anna so that she resembles me and my personality a little bit better. Shout out to Brianna who said she'd like to see a video like this while I was working on it. I hope you like it, Brianna. In my previous video, I practiced on my green mannequin doll, and since I'll be doing a reroute this time, what do you think? Does Frankie look better with hair? For my mini-me, I wanted to incorporate two of my favorite colors, pink and black, and some aspects of my own appearance, like the cleft in my chin and my curly black hair, and some of my style preferences. Today's video is extra exciting because I'm going to be using this Gigi doll too. Isn't that exciting? Gigi is my favorite Monster High doll, and I've wanted to customize her for ages. She has rounder features and a cleft in her chin, and a slightly larger nose, which is perfect for a doll that's supposed to represent me. I also love that she has a slightly curvier figure than some of the other Monster High girls, which would have been perfect to represent my body, but this Gigi has been well loved. She's missing a finger, and like Frankie, her leg joints are just there or something else. I won't be using her body this time, but you may see it in a future video. Her hair, albeit gorgeous, is sticky from glue leaking through the scalp, a common problem for used dolls unfortunately, so I have no regrets about rerouting her. I'm going to combine Gigi's head with the Create a Monster Catgirl body that I've been using as my mini-me until now. Her skin color matches Gigi's head pretty well, and her joints are still solid. She came with a tail and some clip-on cat ears, which I will still be using, but I've swapped out her original hands for these Draculaura ones. Let the customizing begin. I start off by cutting Gigi's hair close to the scalp. Then I dunk her head in some boiling water to soften the vinyl and tug it off the neck while it's still warm. Once that's done, I'm going to use this little tool to scrape the hair plugs and glue from the inside of her head. And once I've done that, I can use a tweezer to pull it out. Ugh, this step is always so gross. Once her hair is done, I use 100% acetone to remove all the factory paint from her face. As a side note, I originally used the same acetone to remove the stripes from the Catgirl's body. Gigi's head has been stained slightly. I'm not sure why this happens to the vinyl heads sometimes, but I think it might have something to do with the glue in their heads. Hopefully it won't be too noticeable after the face up though. I finish it off by washing her face with soap and water and set her aside to dry. Before I start the reroute, I cut the clips off the cat ears and place them on the head where I think they should be. I then use a pen to mark that off so that I know where not to root later. A reroute is using the existing holes in the doll's scalp to insert new hair plugs. For my doll, I'm going to use this black 100% acrylic yarn and make yarn wefts, but instead of gluing them or making a wig, I'm going to reroute with them. To make the wefts, I cut pieces of yarn that's about 2 times the length I want the hair to be, plus a little extra. I tie them to a coat hanger like this. Once I have a good clump of yarn, I use a pet brush to carefully brush it out. I start at the tips and work my way up slowly until I have a bunch of very fluffy loose fibers. You could leave it like this if you're looking for more texture, but I'm going to use my hair straightener on its lowest setting, which is about 80 degrees Celsius, to tame them and make them more silky. Once this is done, you're left with some pretty convincing hair strands. My reroute tool is just a hand drill clamping a needle cut at an angle. I separate a plug's worth of hair from the bunch, cut it off the hanger, and fold it over my finger to slip it onto the needle eye. Then I smush it into the head. I plug densely around the hairline and go back to do the same in the part and around where the ears will be, since these are the areas you're most likely to see the scalp if they're not plugged thoroughly. Once all the plugs are filled, I use some all-purpose glue inside the head to keep the hair from falling out when I style it later. Before gluing the ears to her head, I'm going to embed these broken needles inside them. This will help to anchor them in place while the glue dries. I choose one of the smallest drills and use my hand drill to make holes in the base of each ear. Then I use some Gorilla epoxy glue to embed the needles in them. I also spread the epoxy around the base of the ear a bit before stabbing the needles into her head. There's a bit of a gap, but the hair hides it, so it's fine. Once that's dry, I mask off her hair before putting on a gas mask and spraying her with 2 initial coats of Tamiya sealant. I kind of fudged it with the sealant last time, so I was being really careful. I made sure to only spray in the right weather, and I let the hair dry for a full 24 hours before I even considered starting the face up. But even after all that, the second coat of sealant still left her face feeling sticky again. The weird thing is that it seems to work just fine on hard plastics without going sticky. Maybe it's just not ideal for vinyl? So I cleaned her face with acetone again, and going forth with new hope, I bought this Mr. Hobby Mr. Premium Top Coat Flat. I decided to be careful again and waited 24 hours before starting the face up, just in case. I did end up using the Tamiya sealant on her hard plastic body in preparation for blushing, and it worked really well. Mr. Top Coat is slightly more dewy looking than the Tamiya, but it's not sticky at all, and it still gives vinyl some tooth, so it's okay. I hesitantly began adding pastels to her face again, just like I did the first time. Some white to add highlights, and some pink in places where you normally have shadows, like around your nose, on your eye creases, and on your forehead. I also gave her some blushing around the cheeks. While I'm at it, I blush her hands, body, and the tip of her tail. A good rule of thumb is to blush around all the joints. It really helps the plastic come alive. This was difficult to film, but I also drew the teeniest, tiniest UFO tattoo you can imagine, just like the one I have on my wrist. Can you tell I really like alien stuff? Coming back to the face, I used some purple pastels around her eyes to give her some eyeshadow and go in with my pink pencil to sketch out her eyes. Since Gigi has a very defined face mold, it's pretty easy to follow. I have almond-shaped eyes that kind of squidge up when I smile though, so I'm trying to imitate that by drawing her lower lids slightly higher than they are on the face sculpt, and giving her a wrinkle underneath. I used the same pink pencil to start drawing her lips, giving her a friendly expression by turning up the corners of her mouth to make it look like she's smiling. To keep her from looking wall-eyed, I'm being careful about where I place the irises. Apparently, when you're drawing forward-looking dolls, there should be more of the sclera visible on the outer corners of the eyes than the inner corners. My irises always end up too big though, so I'm not sure how successful I was this time. When I'm that's not a word. When I'm happy with the iris placement, I go ahead and color them in. I have naturally rounded eyebrows, so I'm trying to give Mini Anna that same shape by sketching it out with a pink pencil first, and doing my best to get them symmetrical. Then, because I'm trying to push it as far as I can before spraying another layer of sealant, I'm going in with darker pencils to define and darken everything I've done so far. I used a creamy pencil for the sclera, but decided that it was too yellow on her pink skin, so I'm going back in with some white to try and salvage the situation. I also used the white pencil to add some more highlights. At this point, after waiting a few days for rainy weather to pass, she was finally ready for another coat of sealant. Is it just me, or is she getting more dewy with every coat of sealant? Well, at least she isn't sticky. She just has a healthy glow. I go over her irises again with the same colors to build up some more opacity, and then do the same to her lips. I add some more purple here, some white there, and decide that it's time to sketch in her eyebrows. I don't have very thick eyebrows, even though they're black, so I'm trying to keep them light and wispy on Mini Anna too. I do add a bit of a gradient from light to dark, because I think that it looks more real that way. And while I'm at it, I may as well draw her eyeliner in black too. Why not? Oh, she's really starting to come to life. At this stage, someone told me she reminds them of a strawberry. Fair enough. Deciding I couldn't put it off any longer, I start drawing her pupils. I start off light, trying to position them carefully before coloring them in as dark as they'll go. Then I hesitantly sharpen my pencil and attempt her eyelashes. These did not go well last time, so I'm drawing very lightly just in case. But I think they came out pretty well. After another layer of Mr. Topcoat, I add some beauty spots and go over her eyes, but this was as far as pencils could take me. You can't really see in the video, but the sealant was starting to chip a little bit. So, I break out my gouache paint to go over her eyeliner, darken her pupils, brighten up the sclera, and add some cute catch lights. I used a light pink to add some highlights to her eyes and the top of her cupid's bow as a final touch. While I had my gouaches out, I also paint her teeny tiny little nails. I seal her one last time and add varnish to her eyes and lips to make them glossy. I actually did this step twice because she wasn't sealed thoroughly the first time. But with that, her face and body are done. Now we can free her from the burrito and see what her Faceup looks like with the hair. It's always so nice seeing it together for the first time. Oh, she looks so sweet. Wait a minute guys, I need to untangle this. There we go. Now I can style these luscious locks with a metal chopstick and hair straightener. I section the hair off first, starting from the bottom and working my way up. I use my straightener to heat the metal chopstick, wearing a protective glove against the heat, and while it's still hot, I twirl the hair around it for a few seconds. When you take the chopstick out, you're left with a little ringlet like this. Then I go back and cut off the scraggly ends before gently separating the ringlets with a needle to volumize the hair and make it more realistic. Once all the hair is curled, Mini-Me is left with a cute little poof. She could use some clothes though. I'm gonna stick to the design I already had, but do it a bit better. Mini Anna wears a black shirt with some pink sleeves underneath and a poofy pink skirt. I'm really happy with how her shoes and socks look, so I'm not going to remake those, but I've been dissatisfied with her skirt and her shirt since I made them, so I'll be redoing them today. I have this pink tulle from an old Barbie skirt, and this piece of black lace that I want to use as a petticoat. I make a really easy gathered skirt by cutting a long strip of fabric, gathering it and attaching it to a waistband. And voila! One very poofy finished skirt. I also added this tiny heart chain I got on AliExpress. So cute! For her shirt, I have this pattern that I made, and I'm going to use stretchy fabric in these 3 colors. From there, it's pretty straightforward. You just cut out the pieces, sew the sleeves together, sew the shirt together at the shoulders, and close up the side seam. This can be kind of finicky, and I'm not a very good seamstress, but eventually I got this. As a last added detail, I'm using acrylic paint to add the stripes to her socks and the alien to her shirt. I really like alien stuff, you have no idea. And we're done! Now all that's left is to dress her up. And with that, my mini-me is done. So, what do you think? I'm so happy with how she came out. I talked about it a little in the video, but the issues I had with the sealant, plus the rainy weather we've been having, really slowed down the project, and for a while I considered just giving up. I'm glad I didn't though. The Mr. Top Coat ended up working really well. I'd gotten kind of used to how my mini-me looked with the purple hair and stuff, but she really does feel so much more like me now, even though she wasn't necessarily meant to look exactly like me. I wanted to add some of my features like my hair and my chin, but I also wanted to add things to make her feel like me, rather than just look like me. Does that make sense? A doll to represent how I feel on the inside, because obviously I'm not a pink Catgirl and I don't have pink eyes and a tail. But I have this pink kitty ear headset that I wear every day of my life, so I wanted to represent that somehow. I also wanted her ears to be asymmetrical. I often wear more earrings on one side than the other, and in real life my ears don't look like one another. Another thing I really wanted to add was her little sneakers. I wear platform sneakers like these almost exclusively, even though I'm super tall already, because they're just the most comfortable shoes in the world. And even though the clothes mostly covered up and it was hard to film, I really wanted to include my UFO tattoo. It has a pretty significant meaning behind it. What do you think of her pink eyes? I think they're really cute. When I was working on the concept for this doll, I wanted to give her dark brown eyes like I have at first, but I think with her makeup being so dark and her hair already being black, she needed a little something to brighten up her face. There were quite a few hiccups with this doll, but in the end I'm very happy with her. I think she's super cute and I'm really glad I made her. My channel is going to feel so much more like home now. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video just as much as I did. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a good old-fashioned thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. And if you like what I do here, why not head over to my Instagram too? I post little updates and sneaky previews there all the time. In my next video, I'll be customizing my first male doll. He's going to be the start of a series that I want to do here on the channel, and sometime soon I'm also going to be releasing a super exciting collaboration video. So boop that subscribe button, stick around, and stay golden. I'll see you next time. Bye!